She called off her wedding the night before, then showed up at my door. The knock came just as the first drops of rain began tapping against my front porch in Cedar Ridge, North Carolina. It wasn't the kind of knock made by a stranger. It carried hesitation, heartbreak, and the weight of a decision that had shattered dozens of lives only hours earlier. When I opened the door, I froze. Standing there in a simple navy sweater, mascara smudged from tears, was Grace Harper, the woman whose wedding was supposed to happen the next morning. She looked at me with exhausted eyes that had forgotten how to hope, and in that silent moment I realized some storms don't begin in the sky. They begin inside a human heart. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness can heal broken hearts, that forgiveness is stronger than pride, and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, water your dam today, and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories that remind us the best of humanity still exists. My name is Caleb Brooks, and for nearly 15 years, Grace had been part of the background of my life. We grew up in neighboring houses, attended the same little church, and graduated from the same high school before life quietly pulled us onto different roads. I became a carpenter, restoring old homes across western North Carolina, while Grace left for college and eventually returned as a physical therapist. We always greeted each other warmly whenever our paths crossed, but nothing more. She later became engaged to Nathan Collins, a successful accountant admired by everyone in town. Their relationship looked perfect from the outside, complete with smiling photographs, engagement parties, and carefully planned celebrations. Everyone believed they had found their happily ever after. I believed it too. So when she stood on my porch the night before her wedding, holding nothing except a small overnight bag and an expression filled with quiet defeat, I couldn't understand why she had come to me instead of her family. I invited her inside without asking questions. Sometimes people don't need answers first, they need safety. The silence stretched for several minutes before Grace finally admitted that she hadn't cancelled the wedding because Nathan was cruel or dishonest. He had never betrayed her. Instead, she confessed something far more painful. Somewhere between choosing flowers, tasting wedding cakes, and planning seating charts, she had realized she was building a beautiful future without feeling any peace inside it. She wasn't running away from Nathan. She was running toward the truth she had ignored for months because disappointing everyone felt impossible. Calling off the wedding had devastated both families. Friends stopped answering her calls. Social media exploded with rumors. Some people called her selfish. Others assumed another man was involved. The entire town invented stories that were easier to believe than the simple reality that fear can sometimes hide behind a smile for far too long. Over the following days, Grace stayed in the guest room while I worked long hours restoring an old farmhouse outside town. She insisted on helping after work, sanding wood beside me, painting window frames, and quietly rebuilding her confidence one ordinary afternoon at a time. We rarely discussed the cancelled wedding. Instead, we talked about childhood memories, favorite books, our parents growing older, and dreams we had forgotten while trying to meet everyone else's expectations. Watching Grace slowly laugh again reminded me that healing rarely arrives with grand speeches. Sometimes it appears while sharing coffee on a porch at sunrise or carrying lumber beneath an open blue sky. Still, guilt followed her everywhere. She volunteered at church, apologized to Nathan in person, and met with both families despite knowing many conversations would end in disappointment. Nathan surprised everyone with remarkable grace. Though heartbroken, he admitted he would rather lose a wedding than spend decades married to someone who no longer felt certain. His quiet dignity became one of the greatest lessons I had ever witnessed. Compassion often belongs to those carrying the deepest pain. Months passed before the town stopped whispering. During that time, Grace discovered something unexpected. She had spent years trying to become the version of herself that pleased everyone else, yet she barely recognized the woman looking back in the mirror. She began organizing community wellness programs, helping elderly neighbors recover after surgeries, and volunteering at a shelter for families rebuilding their lives. Her purpose returned long before romance ever entered the picture. As for me, I realized I had spent years convincing myself that being dependable meant keeping my own feelings buried beneath work and responsibility. Grace's courage challenged me to stop living behind emotional walls. One crisp autumn evening, after finishing the farmhouse restoration, we stood on the front porch watching children play beneath trees glowing with orange and gold leaves. There were no dramatic confessions, no impossible coincidences, and no fairy tale miracles. There was simply two people who had grown stronger through honesty, loss, forgiveness, and time. Our friendship quietly became love because neither of us was searching for someone to complete us anymore. We had first learned how to become whole on our own. Years later, people in Cedar Ridge no longer remembered Grace as the bride who cancelled her wedding. They remembered her as the woman who inspired others to choose truth over appearances and kindness over judgment. Nathan eventually found happiness with someone whose dreams matched his own, and our families, once divided by disappointment, slowly became connected again through forgiveness and mutual respect. Before this story comes to its conclusion, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below and tell us, have you ever had to make a difficult decision simply because it was the right one, even when others didn't understand? Your story may encourage someone reading these comments today. On the day Grace and I finally married, there were no extravagant decorations or expensive venues. We exchanged vows in the little white church where we had grown up, surrounded by people who had witnessed every chapter of our journey. As I looked into her peaceful eyes, I realized the greatest love stories are not built on perfect beginnings. They are built on honesty, patience, forgiveness, and the courage to choose hope when fear seems easier. If this story touched your heart, please support the channel by liking this video, sharing it with someone who believes in second chances, subscribing for more uplifting stories, and letting us know your thoughts below. Every kind word helps these stories reach more people who may need a reminder that sometimes the bravest decision isn't saying "I do." Sometimes it's having the courage to wait until your heart is finally ready to mean it.